Welcome to Criminologist, where we dive deep into true crime, unraveling mysteries and uncovering the shocking truths behind some of the world's most puzzling cases. Susan Rainwater was a 66-year-old woman who lived with her husband in Eatonville, Washington. On August 9, 2019, she left her home for a bike ride on State Route 7, leaving from 320th Street East, and told her husband she would return in 30 minutes. However, she never came home. Later that day, a local found her mangled bicycle in the grass. When he looked closer, he found Susan's body in a ditch nearby. She appeared to have been a victim of a hit-and-run case. The only clue that the investigators could find at the scene was a small black piece of plastic which had seemingly broken off from the car during the collision. The investigators urged the public to help find the driver and posted a photo of the broken car part on Twitter. The photo then made its way onto the object identification subreddit r, "What is this thing?" the next day. Soon the post garnered hundreds of comments from car enthusiasts and mechanics trying to figure out the model of the car, impassioned by the heinous nature of the crime and the callousness of the coward that drove after striking Susan, leaving her for dead. People from all over the world joined in on the search. One of the comments was from a user who goes by the username Jeff's Nuts, possibly an almond or cashew enthusiast, who said he was a former vehicle inspector for the state of Maryland. He was able to accurately identify the black plastic to be a piece of a headlight bezel that came from an 80s Chevy truck. Soon, the police received an anonymous tip about a 1986 Chevrolet K10 pickup truck that had its front end damaged to the right headlight and also gave them the license plate number. A quick check led the investigators to the address of 37-year-old Jeremy Simon. After 3 days of questioning, Jeremy admitted to hitting Susan and fleeing the scene. Jeremy later told police on that morning he was very tired as he had worked late night and only had 4 hours of sleep. While he was driving, he fell asleep and hit what he thought was a mailbox. But when he looked back and found he hit a cycle, he panicked and fled the scene. Jeremy was arrested and was found to be in possession of heroin during his arrest. He pleaded guilty in court and was sentenced to 4.5 years to prison as part of a drug offender sentencing alternative. The program allows drug addicts to serve half of their sentence in prison and the other half on probation, as long as they follow a mandated drug rehabilitation program. Unfortunately, 66-year-old Susan was not given such lenient courtesy. Carolee Ashby. Carolee Ashby was a 4-year-old girl who lived with her parents in Fulton, New York. On the Halloween night of 1968, Carolee was out walking with her older sister, Darlene. They were heading back home after buying some candles for Darlene's upcoming birthday party when a speeding car hit and killed Carolee while the girls were trying to cross a street. Witnesses' accounts described the car to be a 1962 Buick. The police interviewed several people, but none were ever charged. The driver was never caught. The case would go cold and remain that way for 44 years. Then in 2012, retired police officer Russ Johnson decided to post the case details on Facebook, hoping to receive any tips to help find the driver. Soon, a woman who was raised in Fulton, New York, came forward, told the police that on the Halloween night of 1968, a member of Parkhurst family had asked her to say she was with Douglas Parkhurst. The woman refused to cooperate and told police she didn't know why she was asked to lie, but assumed it had to do something with Carolee's death. Douglas Parkhurst was actually interviewed in 1968 after an anonymous tip received by the police. The tipster told the police that 18-year-old Douglas Parkhurst had an accident on the Halloween night with a 1962 tan Buick. The police questioned him for over 2 hours, and Douglas admitted he had been in an accident but claimed to have hit a guard post and denied hitting Carolee. Police were unconvinced by his story but never followed up with him again, and case would grow cold. After receiving the tip from the woman in 2013, the police interviewed Douglas several times, and he eventually admitted to hitting Carolee with his car in 2013, 1968. He told police he had consumed alcohol on that night, and while driving through Fulton, he hit something but thought it was an animal and didn't stop to look. He claims it was only later he realized he hit a little girl. Unfortunately, even though Douglas confessed, he could not be charged as the statute of limitations on vehicle or manslaughter had expired. After the confession, Douglas fled Fulton and relocated to Maine. In a strange twist of fate, in 2018, Douglas Parkhurst himself would be killed by a vehicle when a woman drove her vehicle into a Little League baseball field. The driver rampaged through the field as players and coaches ran towards safety. After driving around the field, the driver, later identified as Carol Sharrow, attempted to make her way out of the field through a gate on the opposite side of the field. According to the story, Douglas Parkhurst, who was walking with a group of children, pushed the children out of the way and tried to close the gate to keep her inside the field when he was struck by the vehicle. Douglas would die on his way to the hospital. Carol was arrested and charged with manslaughter. What started as a long-shot Facebook post from a retired and hopeful detective soon turned to closure for a long grieving family. Unwell legal justice could not be administered in this case. Some might say karmic justice circumvented that issue and possibly saved the lives of some other innocent children in the process. Betty Marcelle Wheeler. 57-year-old Betty Marcelle Wheeler was loved by her family, healthy by all accounts, and had the rest of what should have been a long life ahead of her. She was out on one of her nightly walks when she was tragically struck and killed on April 7, 2012, while near Route 340 in Waynesboro, Virginia. She was hit on the side of the road in the northbound lane of Rosser Avenue near P. Buckley Moss Museum. While the driver disappeared from the scene and seemingly into thin air, in what could only be compared to the tale of Cinderella, they left a small piece of themselves behind, a tiny piece of metal, unique in its design, that would eventually be the key that unlocked the mystery of the cowardly killer. The police asked the media to release the following statement, quote, "Can you identify this piece of what looks like a front air dam spoiler? If so, you might help catch a killer." This silver piece is a part that came off the suspect vehicle that fatally struck. Waynesboro Police is asking anyone who knows or sees a vehicle missing a piece that matches the one pictured to contact the Waynesboro Police Department. One Good Samaritan commented on the posted article with a picture of the grille of a Ford F-150 truck. Soon other online car enthusiasts added their 2 cents to the thread, agreeing that it certainly did look like the metal piece belonged to that truck make and model, and helped to further narrow it down to the year and possible vehicle special feature packages, also known as the vehicle's trim levels. They surmised it to be that of a Ford F-150 truck made in the early 2000s with XL trim. The website informed police of its users' communal findings, and Waynesboro Police were able to use that information, along with an anonymous tip, to locate a 2000 Ford F-150 truck with part of its grille missing. Using DMV registration records, police soon were able to arrest Harrisburg, Virginia resident Victor A. Espinoza for failing to report an accident involving injury or death, and later also arrested Juan M. Gonzalez Vasquez for being a passenger in the offending vehicle and failing to report an accident which resulted in a person being killed or injured. Both suspects are being held without bond. Internet sleuths, generous with their time and energy, were able to see their efforts pay off and were even publicly lauded as instrumental as searching for a specific car parts. Especially in cases like these where the offender could easily have the car repaired to avoid detection, this time, sensitive search is, according to police captain Kelly Walker, akin to, quote, looking for a needle in a haystack. If the answers to the world's crimes are merely needles in haystacks waiting to be uncovered, then perhaps the internet and those it connects is the magnet we've all been waiting for. Next week, we take a deep look at a case such as this, when three internet sleuths give name to a long-forgotten body and simultaneously help put her killer in prison. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss another gripping story. What are your thoughts on these cases? Could the internet be the key to solving even more unsolved crimes? Let us know in the comments below. Stay tuned for next week's episode, where we uncover how three internet sleuths gave a name to a long-forgotten body and helped put her killer behind bars. This is Criminologist, bringing you stories of justice, mystery, and the resilience of the human spirit.